My thought is just that it's very possible that they just didn't check. It's obvious they didn't check for a live round, but they didn't also check if there's something in the barrel, lodged in the barrel. And I'm just thinking,
of course, if they didn't check for the live round, they didn't check any of it.
Yeah. And so my thought is just if there is a blank in that chamber and he fires that off,
if there was anything else,
and if
lodged,
there was anything else lodged in there, if he didn't experience that kick, it's possible in my mind that he had a smaller charge from a blank. That means that there probably wasn't enough to really propel it like it was a real kick from a 45, but rather enough to still eject that bolt, that slug, through the rest of the barrel, through a person who's sitting close. Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
We're going to talk about Alec Baldwin today.
Yeah, let's do.
Everyone is horrified. They're shocked. It's loud. They don't have their earplugs in. No one was. The gun was supposed to be empty. I was told I was handed an empty gun. If there were cosmetic rounds, nothing with a charge at all, a flash round, nothing. She goes down. I thought to myself, did she faint? The notion that there was a live round in that gun did not dawn on me till probably 45 minutes to an hour later.
45 minutes to an hour?
Well, she's laying there and I go, did she get hit by wadding? Was there a blank? Sometimes those blank rounds have a wadding inside that packs, it's like a cloth that packs the gunpowder, and sometimes wadding comes out and can hit people and it can feel like a little bit of a poke. But no one could understand, did she have a heart attack? Because remember, the idea that someone put a live bullet in the gun was not even in reality.
So the blood spill that in 45 minutes she didn't start bleeding until after that, I take it?
He said that he stood over for maybe upwards of 60 seconds, and he just was in shock of what was happening, and then they rushed everyone out of the room. Here's the part that I've shot guns with you before, and you've got a variety of fun guns to shoot with, different calibers, rifles and handguns and whatnot. A 45 has a hell of a kick. It has a hell of a kick.
Especially one of these guns, Scott.
Yeah. And if your finger is off the trigger guard when that thing goes off, good luck hanging on to it.
Very well. I am impressed, Scott, because that's something I should have came up with before you. So nice. No, because that's that's a valid point. So I want to tell you a couple things. So in case you don't know, when these guns that I have here are just as the same as those ones. Mm-hmm. They're like straight cannons. And what I mean by that is you put in your charge and you fire it off. There's nothing but you to absorb the power it has. Mm-hmm. Now, when you start getting into like your semi-automatic guns, that just fire, they're spring activated. There's some gas powered activated. And there's compensators on some things that help take away the kick.
They absorb a little bit of that energy.
In fact, they absorb a lot. Mm-hmm. If I shot a 45 out of a revolver mm-hmm. versus a 45 out of a semi-automatic, let's say
like
Glock,
a Glock, yeah,
it will cut it probably in half. But I'm telling you, when you shoot one of these, you're absorbing all of it.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, and a 45 long Colt.
Oh, man.
I don't even know if you could see. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, I have a 44. This is a very high-powered round right here, a 44. Mm-hmm. Now, the 45 is essentially the same one. It's just a bigger diameter. And I know you probably won't be able to see, but it's a little bit wider. Not by much, to be honest with you. This is very similar.
Yeah.
And these guns, this is a bigger round that you'll shoot out of most all semi-autos. Mm-hmm. So when they say hand cannons, this was the hand cannon of the day.
Yes.
You have to be a man to be pulling this and fire a couple rounds off and keep it on place. I know, I'm not trying, it might sound like I'm a wuss or whatever, but I'm just being respectful as of what other rounds are. Yes, I could shoot this and shoot it quick and shoot it, on target, but people should know that these are big bad boy rounds, and you're going to feel it, Scott.
Just a side note, that Desert Eagle that we shot a long time ago, 50 caliber rounds. And we're talking massive rounds, bigger than that 45.
Yeah.
And I recall that gun having so much recoil that it would move your arm back enough that it wouldn't
cycle.
It wouldn't cycle the next round because the spring wouldn't have gotten thrown back far enough to then put in that next round into.
You're right. I think it's in the handbook. It's recommended to shoot with 2 hands.
Yeah.
So you could hold it steady enough so the cycle.
Yeah, you have to hold it strong enough for that spring to then allow it to go back far enough in order to eject the round and then insert another one. And I recall, I was a little guy at the time. And it was hard to shoot that gun because it was so powerful that my body absorbed it and it couldn't, cycle in that next round.
Right.
The 45 coming out of a revolver is worse because there's no spring action coming,
It's a kick. You will feel it. It will move your body, it could, depending on how big you are. But so example, when I shoot my 44 Magnum, no matter what happens, my 44 kind of makes me twist up like this every time.
Yeah,
And every gun's, I shot another 44 where it was just always straight back, But those are things you cannot stop. Yeah. It's always an action, but that's just the proof of the power. And I don't care if you're Shaquille O'Neal. He's a big boy. He's going to feel that.
Yeah. I just think that it's such an odd thing. If he said that his finger was off that trigger guard and he shot a 45, I just think, man, that gun's not going to stay in his hand. It's just not, especially
when it's a live round, not just a low-powered blank.
And he's not expecting it. When you are expecting...
That's another huge point.
So that's why I'm kind of questioning some of this stuff. Now
he would have dropped it.
I think that gun would have gone out of his hands. To be honest with you,
just didn't startle.
Yes, I think, and I don't know. He didn't describe that in this scene, and I would have imagined that he would have told that part of the story. That would have been a significant thing. Now,
because his not to interrupt you here, but his shock and his 45 minutes of odd that's what you would get if you knew you shot and killed somebody, and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? But to me, he's like, he didn't understand the gravity of it for 45 minutes, and he thought she fainted.
Yeah. Now, here's another scenario, and I don't know, how real this might be, but one of the things that you're supposed to do is verify that there's nothing lodged in the barrel, because you can get a round that's stuck in there. Who knows where the gun came from originally? And who knows if there was something, you can get sort of a misfire or a powder that's been damaged by moisture or whatever, and you get a partial explosion, and then you've got this bullet that's lodged in the barrel. Who knows? If he's shooting a blank, that's got a full charge in there. The difference is there's no bullet on the end. It's packed, like he was saying, with maybe a cloth or something.
The only thing I would question is I would nearly believe that blanks wouldn't have as full of a charge in it when it's not actually trying to project, the around.
Yeah. So my thought is it possible to have a 45 caliber slug still in the barrel that's lodged someplace down the barrel, and he's firing off a blank, and there might be enough power to send that round through the rest of the barrel, through the cinematographer, and it gets embedded in the arm of the director standing slightly behind her.
I would say that would be very rare for that to happen. I'm going to give you an example. We went up shooting, and my buddy had bought a revolver and was going to shoot a 17 AHMR. And I won't explain it, but let's just go by numbers. It's a 17. And his son grabbed a 22 and put it in. So if you just will, 22 is a tad bit bigger. And then he pulled the trigger. Luckily, it's very small, but what happened was it actually got lodged inside the barrel. If you had the right round, it wouldn't just get lodged. It would, and let's say maybe at the very most, if it was so weak that somebody pulled the trigger and it just went, and it just sat in there. Yeah. Chances are you just put your gun down and it would flow out, but for something to get lodged in there would have to be something bigger than what it was, and then a lot of force too to get it jammed in there. But does not mean there's another issue. But then again, no, you're talking about the bullet because
the slug, yeah. My thought is just that it's very possible that they just didn't check. It's obvious they didn't check for a live round, but they didn't also check if there was something in the barrel, lodged in the barrel. And I'm just thinking,
of course, if they didn't check for the live round, they didn't check any of it.
Yeah, and so my thought is just if there is a blank in that chamber and he fires that off.
If there was anything else,
and if
lodged.
there was anything else lodged in there. Now they did pull a .45 slug out of the director's arm. And so it says that would suggest that, there was a live round, but...
How about this? Anybody could check that, okay, this is a blank shell, and then this is a .45 caliber that belongs.
Yeah.
So that would be a relatively easy thing to fix, but we haven't heard anything, have we?
Yeah, no. That's the thing, is there's a lot of stuff that's just not coming out.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
And it could be it could be how he... it could be mildly how he's trying to present it, but when... And I get it for legal purposes to a point. You kind of don't want to disclose some things, but it makes us go, what?
Yeah.
Let's add it up. It doesn't add up so well.
But also thinking about the amount of kick that you get from a .45, if he didn't experience that kick, it's possible, in my mind, that he had a smaller charge from a blank.
That could make your point a little bit more effective.
Because that means that there probably wasn't enough to really propel it like it was a real kick from a .45, but rather enough to still eject that slug through the rest of the barrel through a person who's sitting close.
Can I give another visual for people that maybe can't see anything? So I had watched relatively recently, gun still empty. Somebody did a test. And they did a test, and I never ever thought about this, and it freaked me out. I'm like, what the heck? So, there is a gap here by the cylinder. Yeah. Well, when I shoot some revolvers, I get some powder on my face, and I hate it. Yeah. I don't like revolvers, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's not my gig. I have them because I'm American. Americans have a dadgum revolver around because they are the most reliable to a point. As I say that, this gun doesn't work. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Yeah. But anyways, my point is that somebody did a test and grabbed a hot dog, and they just put it on the outside here, and they pulled it, destroyed the hot dog. And they're like, don't put your finger there. So I just want to say that, blank or not, this is just the excess pressure that didn't get out of the barrel, the least resistance way. Yeah. And it would destroy. It could destroy your finger, rip it off, or at least turn it into hamburger. But the point of how devastating it is, even if it was a blank, even if it was not a live complete round, that little gap that could create enough to destroy your finger is far less than what a blank's going to be shooting out of it too. Yeah. Because it'll travel to the path of least resistance, and it all goes out the front almost. I
think it's a fascinating thought experiment here. Because who knows what they're going to come out with.
I got to tell you, I really want to go outside and put some of these to test. I could actually try a couple of these.
You could, not on a day like this. No, it is so stormy out there. Yep.
We could lose power, my friends.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for listening to the shortened version of our show.
If you want to catch the full audio episode, you can find it here or wherever you find your podcast. But if you want to see the full version in video format, you can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, and now on Spotify.